Hey everyone, this is Nathan Williams with BlackRain79.com, and I'm back here with another hand history review for you guys. So this hand was sent to me by Balaz, and it's a little bit higher stakes than normally the hands that I'm reviewing on here. This is NL16 on PokerStars. I believe it's a Zoom table as well. Balaz did not send me any stats, so this is also sort of one of those unknown hands, which tends to happen if you're playing on Zoom. So Balaz has got pocket tens in the big blind, and we'll just see how the action plays out here. So Villain 3 comes in for the 3x raise from under the gun. So what do we do here in a 6-max game when we got pocket 10s in the big blind and under the gun has come in for the open already? Now, given the fact that I don't know anything about this player and that he raised under the gun, I will say that my default here is just a flat call. I just prefer to keep the pot a little bit smaller. I really don't want to get into kind of a re-raising war with a guy like, or with a hand like this when I really don't know anything about the player, because it's so gross if we 3-bet here and he 4-bets and you've got 10s and it's kind of like, what do you do? But Balaz decides to go for the 4-bet here. So let's see what Villain 3 does. He does indeed just call. So we'll go to a flop. Now, it's obviously like, it's a reasonable flop for our hands, but it's also not the greatest flop, of course. It's kind of one of those spots where I think that I can go either way depending on what kind of player I'm up against. Sometimes I'll check here, sometimes I will bet. But I would say that in a vacuum, which is essentially what this is, we don't know anything about this player, I would probably just agree with what Balaz does here, and that's just to go ahead and make the C-bet. So he makes it about 2/3 pot, which I think is fine, and Villain 3 calls. So the turn is pretty good, obviously. It's very good. We have basically what is the nuts. I mean, if he somehow has ace-10, that's just a cooler, and we're not really going to worry about that hand too much at this point. We're in a great spot here. I mean, there's many 2 pairs he can have. There's many sets that he can have. We definitely should be looking to stack as many of those as possible. So this is a spot where I really, really like a double barrel, especially against an unknown. I do not want to check here and risk him checking behind. I think that would be a nightmare. I think the only way that you can get tricky here and go for some sort of check raise all in would be if you have a clear history with this player. You know he's aggressive. And I actually talked about that in a video 1 or 2 videos back, that I think that's a big mistake that a lot of people make, is that they try to get tricky without any evidence at all. And this is a spot here where you definitely just want to be barreling. I think Balaz does barrel, yeah, he barrels. I like his sizing as well. I think that this will keep hands like maybe an ace-king as well in the pot. It's definitely going to keep all those sets in the pot. If he does have a set, it's going to keep all those 2 pairs as well in the pot. So I really like the sizing here. And once again, yeah, so I definitely go ahead and just make the double barrel here. Don't try to get cute and, you know, go for some check raise here, because we don't know anything about the player. I mean, there's just, you can't make those kind of fancy plays without evidence, and that's kind of what I was getting at before, is a lot of people just like to make fancy plays without evidence, and that's a recipe for disaster in poker. So really love the way that Balaz has played this hand post-flop so far. Let's check out the river. Or, oh, sorry, Villain 3 does go ahead and just call on the turn. And let's go to the river. So the river is the jack. Well, there's no flush that got there, but pairing the board is not really something that we wanted to see. And probably not that card either, because there's a lot of 2-pair possibilities. I would prefer if the 9 paired, because I think there's a lot less 2 pairs that could be boats or something now with a 9. Whereas with the jack, I mean, I believe he could have been in there with a hand like Queen Jack or King Jack. So I'm not really loving that card. And obviously, if he did have pocket 9s, that hand wins now against us. So my plan here would definitely be to check, see what Balaz does. He agrees, so I really like his play on really all streets here so far. We'll see what Villain 3 does, or Villain 3. He decides to will not go all in, but put us all in, essentially. So now we've got the real decision to make in this spot. Now, actually, we have no raids at all, but Balaz actually told me in the email that this guy typed AK in chat. Now, that's kind of really interesting. Like, that's a really actually interesting read, and I didn't even think about that until now. Like, would somebody actually save their actual hand? That actually makes me kind of want to fold a little bit, because I just think that if somebody's bluffing here, they're probably not going to type anything. But if they really do want to call, they're probably going to say some BS in the chat like that. I don't know. I'm interested. What do you guys think about that when somebody, like, I actually don't even have the chat on hardly ever, so I really don't even see it. But that's actually just, I was just thinking about that. That's very, very interesting. What if somebody really had ace king here? Would, you know, I think if somebody had ace king here, if they actually had ace king, they would not say what their hand did. They wouldn't say anything. I think that kind of sways me to a fold a little bit, to be honest. But let's just, I don't want to get too deep in that, because I honestly don't know. I want to know what you guys think about that. Somebody types in the chat like that. Let's just think about this hand, you know, as it stands right now. So we don't know anything about this player. He's kind of got to be on some sort of airball bluff, really. I mean, it's really hard to find a hand that's going to shove the river here that we beat, you know. Because I don't think he's going to be calling. I mean, what is it? We gotta ask ourselves, what does he call the turn with? You know, I just don't. I think that almost every hand pretty much got there. Okay, he could have ace king. He could have called the turn with ace king. He could have definitely called the flop with ace king. Definitely could have called the turn as well with ace king. But is he going to ship the river here? I don't really see the point of why ace king would play this hand that way. That's one of the few hands that I'm thinking about. Just, again, forget about what he's typed in the chat. I'm just ignoring that now. I just don't think ace king plays that hand this way, and I'm trying to think of another hand that we do beat here that would play this hand, that would play like this. And honestly, I can't really think of too many other hands. I mean, I'm trying to think of maybe another 10 that is trying to get us off a chop. That's the only hand that I'm kind of thinking that I could see here that might do something wacky like this. The reason why I don't see too many complete bluffs just doing this on the river, because I just don't know why a complete bluff would call the turn. Like, if I feel like when he calls the turn, he must have something, and the J pretty much, the jack on the river pretty much hits everything. So, I would kind of go back and forth a lot in this spot. Again, I'm disregarding the chat, but I am actually kind of leaning towards a fold a little bit in this spot, because I just can't think of really any hand here that he's bluffing very often with. I can't think of any value hand that is worse than our hand that possibly bets the river here. I think that's really kind of the bottom line for me here. Is I can't think of one hand. I like ace king is the only one that I could think that would possibly want to get value on the river, but would ace king ever bet here? I just don't think there's any reason. You just take your free showdown and, you know, hope you got the best hand. Balaz does make the call, and it's not good news. I don't know. Let me know your guys' thoughts on this hand here. I do think that Balaz played this hand pretty good overall. It's obviously a major cooler as play, or it's a cooler hand. There's no question about it. It's just, I mean, it's set over straight, and it's two really good hands pre-flop, and we're obviously going to lose a lot of money in this hand no matter how we played it. But the question always is, when we're in one of these spots where we're on the bad side of a cooler, is could we have lost less? I would argue yes. I would say that it's not a huge thing, that I think a lot of people will go broke in this spot. And when you're in a situation where you think when the roles are reversed, they will go broke to you as well most of the time, then it's kind of a wash. It's not a huge deal. But, of course, we're always trying to get those small edges in poker. And, you know, if you can save half a stack in a spot like this where you think that they're probably going to go broke to you 100% of the time, but you're saving half a stack when you've got the tens, you know, obviously you win. The famous mental game coach Tommy Angelo talked about this years and years ago when he talked about reciprocity in poker. Big fancy word, but essentially it means because I mean, we can just break down poker to, we're going to have, like, if we're going to have the queens and he's going to have the tens, what does he do when he's got the tens compared to what do we do? And if we can make a fold and save half a stack when we got the tens, and he never does, and he always stacks off to us, we win, of course. So that's how you always need to approach this game. And could we have got away here without losing our whole stack? I think it's not easy, but I do think that there's a case to be made for saving half a stack or so on the river there. So Let me know what you guys think about this hand. It's quite interesting, actually. This spot. Pre-flop is also very interesting. I'd like to know what you guys think on that. But overall, I like the way that Balaz played this hand, especially on the flop and the turn. The bet sizing was great. I like the river check, and it's the river call. I think it's marginal, so I don't like. There's a lot of hands that people send me where I'm very confident that's the wrong decision. If I disagree with them, I'm not gonna say like Balaz's call on the river here. There's nothing terrible about it or anything. I would lean a little bit more towards a fold, but let me know what you guys think. Make sure you guys like the video and subscribe if you want to see more hands like this. Make sure you check out my free ebook as well. It's called Massive Profit of the Micros. It's the link in the description. I'll give you my complete strategy on how I beat these stakes. So thanks a lot for watching, guys. It's been Nathan Williams with BlackRain79.com.